Yeah, I'll tweet it right now, but I should
I'll tweet.
tweet automatically. You go ahead and tweet it, and I'll retweet you. All right, hey
Yeah,
everybody,
we'll do that.
hey everybody,
Wait,
and
where
welcome
do I
into
tell
Talking
people? Where
Tuscaloosa.
do I tell people to go? Where do I tell people to go?
Talking Tuscaloosa YouTube page.
Go to the Talking Tuscaloosa
YouTube page, I think.
YouTube page to watch live as me and Luke
Embarrass ourselves.
screw up yet another episode.
Okay, well, I guess we got to start. I guess he's going to do this as a
All right.
as a thing. So probably need to just start it. I don't know.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Starting it. Hey everybody, and welcome into Talking Tuscaloosa. Luke Robinson along with Jimmy Stein, as always. Jimmy, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. 6-0.
6-0, and many more to go.
Let's hope so.
And yeah, so that's a good thing. But Jimmy, this thing, now that it's Thursday and it's middle of the day Thursday, this has sort of been hashed and rehashed already. So let's jump right into the problems. I mean, we can talk about, look, there's nothing worse than Bama fan problems right now, where we beat a pretty good team on the road by 8 points because they score very late. Ironically, kind of like Texas A&M did a couple years ago with Johnny Manziel, when they scored late and made it look like a one-score game, and it was really a two-score game.
Right.
And then they had an onside kick just like this one. But, we beat them up pretty good. But there's one – if there's ever been a case made for how momentum can turn on a dime, I introduced to you, Counselor, Exhibit A, Robert Foster. Bob Foster. Bob. Until
Big
further
game, Bob.
Big
game, Bob.
Not
big game, Bob.
And look, I have a theory. Okay, you can tell me if I'm probably am wrong, and I'm okay saying I'm wrong, but I have a theory that it was 24-3 at the time. Okay, and we had the ball 1st and 10. We go deep first play, and it was a bad throw from Jalen. I'm not saying it was a good throw. It was not a good throw at all. But Bob Foster's got to come up with that one. Okay, it does go through his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that play got called back because of a legal man downfield. So the next play on 1st and 15, we run Damian Harris 2 yards up the middle. 2nd down, we throw it to Robert Foster, what should have been, if not a first down, a 3rd and 1. He just flat dropped it. And he even patted himself on the chest, said, "My bad," all that stuff. And then on 3rd down, he fumbles on a receiver screen. I think that it was an audition to see, okay, we want to find out who the number 2 guy really is. Robert Foster, we're going to use you on this drive. Show me what you got. And I'm afraid we saw the worst he could give us. Is that a good theory or not?
No. I'm sort of on board with that. What it reminds me, that feels right to me. But one thing that we fans do, and I'm not saying it's Alabama fans specifically, but we're very guilty of this. Every year, there's a senior on the team that we're still excited about that has basically done very little in his career to date.
True.
That wasn't a significant player as a freshman, sophomore, or junior, in the sense that he was one of the go-to guys that made the team win games. Robert Foster has gone into his 5th year, never having been a significant player. Yet year after year, we get these seniors, and the fans won't let it go. They're convinced he's going to be great. And there's probably a reason he hasn't been great so far. And you can cite injuries. True. You can say, oh, well, he was in Lane's doghouse. True. But Nick wants to win the games more than we do, at least as much as we do. If Robert Foster was a player that was going to help us win the games, he would have been a more significant player 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. And I get frustrated every summer. I talk about it, and it pisses people off on the message boards or on Twitter when someone is raving about the big year the senior is about to have. And I'm always wanting to tap the brakes, be the proverbial, turd in the punch bowl at the school dance. And this is not to say it never happens. Of course it does happen. I'm just saying it's the exception to the rule. And when Bob Foster was having a bad game the other night and helped turn the momentum around in the wrong way, what immediately leapt to mind to me was, why were we expecting anything else? Why were we expecting anything else? If Rob Foster was Calvin Ridley, then he would have been Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was a great player game one of his freshman season. Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, they have looked really good day one. We're in year 5 now with Rob Foster. And now, by the way, none of this is meant to be a total shot at the kid. He does have talent. He does have talent. He can help us. Maybe I'm a little frustrated. Maybe I am now feeling the frustrations our coaches have felt for 5 years over, gosh, why can't this kid help us more than he helps us?
Right.
Because he's got the talent. There's no question he has talent.
No, and I think that's absolutely correct. And you make a good point that what we've seen. Look, Alabama's played 16 freshmen this year so far. So the argument that we're so loaded that a freshman will never get on the field is number one, totally BS. But number two, how many guys have really gotten markedly better from the moment they got on campus to the time they were a senior? Like, how many guys have gone from not playing a lot to when they're a senior, like, oh my God, he's contributed a lot? I'm trying to think of somebody. I'm sure there's somebody out there.
It happens, but it doesn't happen a lot. I'll tell you a name that leapt to mind just now when I thought of it is going all the way back to like 07 or 08, Marquise Johnson. Wasn't a significant player and then became a good player when he was a senior. Not a great player. He didn't spend like a lot of time in the NFL, but there's a guy that I think late in his career became a really good player. I think going in the Wayback Machine, I think Smoke Dixon was kind of like that too, who came in with a lot of hype and then did very little to justify the hype. Cyrus Jones got off to a slow start. Some of that was a position change maybe. But yeah, Cyrus Jones was a dramatically different player as a senior than he was certainly as a sophomore when he got beat up a lot by the fans. But I think those are all examples of what we're talking about here. And we'll do it again next summer. I don't know which player it'll be. Next summer, there will be a player that has barely ever played but was highly recruited and hyped. And then our fans next summer will decide he's going to explode in his 4th or 5th year. And will they be right? Maybe, but probably not. Probably not. And I think a good question is, are we ready to move on from Rob Foster? And by that I mean, is it time that the number 2 receiver became Jerry Jeudy? I mean, is it time that now in Game 7 our second best option to make a play in the pass game is Jerry Jeudy? I think that's a very fair question.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think Jeudy had some big catches in that game. Well, I say big catches. I mean, he had some nice catches, man. And Devontae Smith was targeted on a deep ball. And then
Ruggs leads the team in touchdowns.
He leads the team. He's got 3 catches and 3 TDs, right? That's it. That's right.
Something like that. All he does is catch touchdowns. Isn't that what they used to say about Duron Carter's dad?
Chris Carter.
Something like that. Yeah, Duron Carter. Yeah.
Well, you're the only guy in America who refers to Chris Carter as Duron Carter's dad.
Hey, how about this? We rarely do inside nuggets on Talking Tuscaloosa podcast because I don't like doing the inside stuff. But it's now long enough ago. I'll tell you, a coach at Alabama told me I think it must have been 2011. Whenever the year that Duron practiced with the team but couldn't play because he was in trouble. And I think we just won the national championship. And a coach on the team after we won the national championship said the best player on the team last fall was Duron Carter. And he didn't even play in the game. So we won the national championship. And this coach is saying he was the best player on the team. And then you watch Duron in Canada and with the CFL highlights, and you can see what the coach was talking about. His explosiveness and natural talent is 5-star nuts. But you could use that word nuts to describe Duron, I think, unfortunately.
By the way, speaking of the word nuts, and I'm not advocating, I'm not trying to pick a side here, even though Eminem told me I have to pick a side. Man, did you see Eminem's freestyle rap about Trump?
Yes, and yes, it led to one of my favorite tweets I've ever read on that Twitter machine that said, it's a tweet from some guy I don't even know. He just said, I know very little about rap battles,
Oh
but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. But I'm pretty sure Eminem is now the president of the United States.
that was good because and it look. I know some people. This thing is everything has become so divisive, and I just put a link to this live broadcast on Facebook. I'm not trying to get political right now, but whether or not you agree with what Eminem said, or whether or not you like Eminem or Trump or whatever, that was pretty danged impressive. What he did. I mean,
got some skills, man.
he's got some pretty mad skills, but I didn't even catch the only thing he's fantastic for is racism because he's orange and that's how he gets his rocks off. And he was talking about the Thing from Fantastic Four, and I'm a comic book guy. It took LeBron James to point that out to me, not on a personal text. Or LeBron James tweeted it. He didn't text me about it, but anywho, I just thought that was because you said something about nuts, and he said that Trump has fewer nuts than an empty asylum. That's pretty good, man.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I'm not saying you should agree with what he's saying. I'm saying the line is good. I appreciate a good funny line. That's a good funny line.
What was his character in? What was his character name? Was it B Rabbit?
Well, it was. You know what? Confession time. I never saw 8 Mile.
I've only seen chunks of it, like when I'm flipping around and it's on VH1 Classic or something. I'll watch like 10 minutes of it and then go. I'm not seeing any of the cool. All I want to see is the rap battle part. That's all. I don't want to see the whole biopic. I want to see the rap battle part. And when I'm flipping around, it's rarely on that part, so I just keep on flipping.
Isn't it biopic? It's not biopic, right?
Is it biopic or biopic?
I think it's biopic. Is it not?
I think it's biopic.
Well, okay, one of us has been saying it wrong all our lives.
Very good chance. I've been saying it's probably me. Maybe this is something we should open up to our Twitter fam and the people watching us live, because I have no effing idea, really. Biopic is what I would say.
Yeah, and I'm glad you. I think it's biopic.
That, so it rhymes with myopic, and I don't even really.
Myopic. I think so. But I mean, look, we're here to educate on Alabama as well as several other things. So if somebody out there knows and you want to let us know, feel froggy. Let's go back to the game for a second. So
it was a biopic. It's Jalen's hometown, so it's sort of like a biopic of Jalen.
That's true. He
didn't win an Oscar either.
No, he did not win an Oscar. It was not his best performance. Gosh, I want to keep thinking his passing has gotten so much better. It really hadn't gotten that much better. It doesn't seem like it's the same guy. But maybe we should just let Jalen be Jalen. Quit trying to make him into some passer and just let him do his thing, because his thing is when he's running the ball, he's the best running back on the team.
Yeah, Rodney Orr brought this up earlier on his message board. And it was really good. Rodney posted, when somebody said comparing Jalen, he's comparing Jalen to an NFL quarterback. It's like, why is that even necessary? What point?
Exactly.
What point? Who may be the most dominant college football quarterback I have ever seen in my life was Tommy Frazier.
No question.
From one end of this office to the other. And Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel. These guys weren't NFL passers either, and they're some of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. And I leave it to Alabama fans. Maybe we'd bitch like hell if Tebow or Manziel or Tommy Frazier was our quarterback, but they were dominant. The key isn't what Jalen can do and what he can't do. The key is putting Jalen in an offense that allows him to be successful. And he is 20-1, and the one is obviously a glaring big one because it's on the biggest stage possible. But here's one other. But and that wasn't entirely his fault. Certainly wasn't entirely his fault. And here's another thing I think he is better, because if you compare Jalen through 6 games a year ago and Jalen 6 games now, his completion percentage is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. He was 63% after 6 games last year, 63% after 6 games this year. But when you factor in that we're no longer running that little pop pass we do on the jet sweep, that dramatically helped Jalen's percentage a year ago. We're not doing that at all this year. So Jalen is being asked to complete more difficult throws, and he is doing that at the same exact completion percentage he was a year ago when many of his throws were just no more than 10 inches forward. So I think he is improved. I think he's better. I think A&M was a step back, but I think we need the Arkansas game to determine whether Jalen has taken a step back or if it's just a one-game blip. Because
hang on, let me stop you there.
Yep.
We ain't learning shit from Arkansas. Okay.
Well, I'm saying if Jalen's bad against Arkansas, then that means Jalen's regressing.
I'm going to say this in advance. I think it's going to be just about impossible to prove he's bad against Arkansas. I mean, I'm telling you what, like me when I used to get those Columbia cassette tapes for a penny, they have mailed it in. Man, they have just mailed it in. There. I am dating myself. They know.
You dated yourself there.
People know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. You get 22 cassettes for a penny.
You know what I'm talking 60. About. Yeah. All of because so many of our fans are 16 years old. Well, that's probably true, really, because we're immature idiots. But I agree that if Jalen is 26 for 30 against Arkansas, anybody that says Jalen is now fantastic, he's figured this out, he's awesome, those people are crazy. A great performance against Arkansas proves nothing, but a bad performance against Arkansas might prove a lot, because he should have a pretty nice game against Arkansas. He should. Arkansas is not good on defense, but gosh, I'm not. I think A&M was better than we thought as Alabama fans. But we had 100 less total yards than Arkansas did against A&M. We had 200 less yards than UCLA did against A&M. So
yeah, I mean, but again, that transitive property crap doesn't work all the time. I mean, if by that logic, South Alabama would beat the LSU. So again, I don't know that always works, but besides UCLA in the fourth quarter when they were in desperation mode, throwing it all over the yard. Now, give them credit for doing it. I'm just saying when we at the end we were trying to run the clock out a little more. You know what I mean? So that doesn't
we do that week to week. That's one of the reasons stats in college football is so unique. I mean, stats are so skewed because half the time in the fourth quarter, over half the time in the fourth quarter, Nick Saban, we're trying to kill clock in the fourth quarter. We're not trying to rack up points and stats. Imagine if we left our first team in with the pedal pressed all the way to the ground for 60 minutes in every game we played. We would rule some NCAA stats, but Saban's not going to coach that way. And he shouldn't. He shouldn't. The goal should always be to win the game, improve the team. Win the game, improve the team. Win the game, improve the team. And no one has ever been better in the history of college football than Nick Saban when it comes to those important things.
No, I agree. So anyway, I'm not going to glean too much from this. Are you still there?
I don't see you, but I see me.
Now you see me. You see me now? Boy, I don't know what the hell just happened. Do you see me?
I don't see you.
I don't see rating.
I don't see either. Our ratings could go up.
Hang on. Let me talk and see if the green thing's coming on. I don't know why. I guess my camera quit. I don't know what the heck's going on with my camera. But anyway, not that it matters. It just the Talking Tuscaloosa logo comes up. Do you see it? Is that what's coming up? Is that what's coming up for you?
Do you think maybe there's a possibility this could have something to do with the Russians or the North Koreans?
I think it could. There's damn
starting with us. Starting with us.
Well, we're a good. They're like, let's get the easy shit out of the way. Let's go with a couple of guys that can't possibly operate their own computers.
They can't possibly defend themselves. They don't even know how to turn their damn computer on.
Yeah. So okay.
They're so old they were buying Columbia 8-tracks for a penny apiece in their earlier lives.
I've got 9 copies of Thriller if anybody is interested. Okay, so Arkansas coming up this week. Arkansas is atrocious. They're just really bad, not good. All those things. Wait a minute, I might have fixed my camera.
I see you coming back. You're coming back.
That's coming back, baby. I said I'm coming back.
Yeah, Arkansas's not good. I wonder if they're going to end up playing that quarterback that looks like the tight end we're recruiting, Luke Ford.
Is you talking about the one that's 6'7", 270?
Yeah, he looks like Luke Ford, the tight end we're recruiting that's on campus this weekend.
Yeah, but he's 6'7", 270.
Yeah, so does Luke Ford.
I'm thinking he should have a shirt instead of a jersey. Have a shirt with just a target on it.
I tell you that he is exactly the wrong type of quarterback to play against Alabama. Now, they're apparently somewhat mobile and runs around a little bit.
Give me a break.
He's hard. He's going to be hard to miss. I don't think. I don't think Minka Fitzpatrick and Ronnie Harrison are going to have a hard time finding him or hitting him. Now, of course, they got to get him down to the ground, but I like the odds of Ronnie Harrison getting anybody down to the ground. You know, Ronnie Harrison quietly is developing into one of our great safeties. That dude is in the right place at the right time a lot. And as Gene Stallings used to say, he arrives at the ball carrier in a bad humor.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie Harrison brings the hat, man. If he can really put it all together, I hope he stays for senior year. I hope he's listening and he stays for senior year. I know that he's going to be rated high. He's going to have a draft grade that will justify him leaving. But man, I think he could really use a senior year. He didn't start his whole freshman year. He played a lot of offense in high school. I just think one more year at Alabama will make him a better pro. And sure, Ronnie, sure you leave and get drafted 25th or 20th. Sure you can. But how about coming back and being the first safety taken? If you're the first safety taken, you're like top 12. That's a lot of money. And that's not just that. So many of these kids that make decisions about whether to go pro or early or not, it's a difficult decision for them to make because they're standing in their own shoes. Sometimes it's easier to judge it from the outside. But here's the fact. When people turn pro before they're ready to be professional athletes, their careers don't last very long. Their careers don't last very long because they turn pro before they were emotionally ready.
Right.
And you have to be ready to not just understand an NFL scheme and cover NFL wide receivers. You have to be ready emotionally to go from a kid in school to an adult with $1 million in your bank account. And it takes a mature kid. I was a good student in Alabama, went to law school, and I'll be the first to admit, I don't think handing me $1 million when I was a junior at Alabama would have been a good idea at all. I mean,
no.
So I'm just saying, I think a kid like Ronnie has a difficult decision to make because he's going to have a draft grade that will justify him leaving. And I'm not going to be critical. I'm not going to go, oh, what a dummy. He never should have left. I'm just saying he's a guy that I think could really benefit by senior year. Minka Fitzpatrick, you are ready. Bo and Calvin, they're ready. They're also older. They're significantly older than Ronnie. So anyway, what were we talking about? Arkansas?
Yeah, we were talking about Arkansas. Is there any reason at all to think Alabama won't cover this 30-point spread?
I think there's a good reason because we just won by 8. And I know you're like,
we
that's
won
apples
by,
and oranges.
Apples and oranges.
But Arkansas and A&M played a very even game.
They did, but Jimmy,
even.
Since then, Arkansas has lost 48-22 to South Kakalaki.
I think Alabama's going to win by around 30 points. I'm actually leaning to them. I think my score that I settled on last night is a unique score. I'm going with 35-7.
Okay, if we only score 35 points on this crowd, there's going to be some rumbling. I'm telling you, this. I'm thinking 52-3.
52-3.
I want to go 52-0 for nostalgia's sake because didn't we beat them 52-0 2 years in a row a couple years ago?
We may have, but the only Arkansas game I could think of all week. Last Saturday, I watched the A&M game in a hurricane. I mean, literally in a hurricane. And it really wasn't that bad. While the game was on, it was just sort of like a mild tropical storm. But the last time I could remember watching Alabama on TV while there was a tropical storm outside my house was that game in 1998 when we lost to Arkansas like 48-6.
Oh, that bit Dubose. It was 42-6, maybe. It was a Dubose.
It was bad. It was a Dubose. It was bad. It was as humiliating a loss as I've ever seen as an Alabama fan. And now watching the game in a tropical storm hurricane again, that was the Arkansas game that was in my head all last Saturday during the storm because that was a unique experience. But just to show how insane there would be like they would interrupt because I'm in the coast and there's a lot of tornado warnings that aren't necessarily resulting in tornadoes, but to be cautious, they warn everybody that there could be a tornado. So there was literally, I'm not making this up, Luke, at least 7 different times during the 3-hour broadcast, the station, and it's, the station, because it's all connected to the internet, the station stops the football broadcast to tell you there is a tornado warning in your county. So there were 7 different tornado warnings, but instead of, like we should have done, diving into a closet, putting pillows over our heads, we would instead sprint to another room where we had the game on the radio, so we wouldn't miss any plays.
And you didn't dive into a closet with pillows over your heads until Texas A&M was trying that onside kick.
Hey, let me tell you, there isn't many moments like that, is there, for Alabama football in regular seasons? Where you're like, oh shit.
But even then, even with all that,
I didn't think we
I get mad if we have lack of effort or something. Hey, Kellen Mond he pulled off some Johnny Manziel stuff, and I got to just give him props. I'm not mad at our defense. Hell, Raekwon Davis had him right in his sights. How many guys are going to? Do you think this 6'7", 270 cat's getting away from Raekwon Davis, barreling down on him and letting him bet on him like that? No chance.
That was an 8 or 9 sack game if Kellen Mond didn't have the slippery escapability that he's got. A statue type quarterback, that's 8 or 9 sacks.
If that's Jerry Mond, we sack him 8 or 9 times, not Kellen Mond. Kellen's lesser talented cousin, Jerry.
If that was Jennings Hester Mond, we have 10 sacks.
Has there ever been a good quarterback with the first name Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry Kramer. Is that a name? Is that a thing?
I said, well, Jerry Seinfeld and Cosmo Kramer just combined.
I'm pretty sure it's taken me back to my days when I used to order 8 tracks from Columbia Records for a penny a piece.
Jerry Kramer. Who the hell was Jerry Kramer?
I think he was some fat guy that quarterback for the Vikings.
All right, I'm going to have to look that up.
Hit the Google button.
I'm Googling the hell out of it.
It might be Jerry with a G. No. And is there another Jerry quarterback?
I can't remember. That's a good question. If your child is destined to not be, holy crap, Jerry Kramer named senior finalist for Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now he's much older.
Yes, than even we are, which is saying a lot.
Yes, he got 20 cassettes for a penny. Let me see here. He quarterbacked.
He got 20 phonographs for a penny.
Let me see. 80% of the vote from prior.
He's as old as Aisha. Aishan Robinson is going, damn, that Jerry Kramer guy was old.
All right, Kramer played in 130 regular season games for the Packers from 58 to 68. He was a member of all 5 Vince Lombardi's championships teams. So he really only played because the Super Bowl didn't start till 67. So he was in some things before he was when it was just a bowl. It wasn't even a Super Bowl.
He was in it when it was the Tangerine Bowl.
Yeah. But yeah, so man, good. Look at the big brain on Jimmy.
Well, that's a fun game. You know what? This is how nerdy. I had a football magazine at the beach this week with the wife, and it listed this. It was a summer magazine I'd never gotten around to reading. And one of the things in the summer magazine, it ranked all 130 Division I quarterbacks, the guys projected to be the starting quarterback, and it ranked them, of course, Sam Darnold, number 1, and it ranked them all the way to 130. So without looking at the list, and I gave it to the wife, and I'm like, all right, quiz me. Nate, start with number 1, which is going to be easy. Tell me the college, and I'll tell you the quarterback. So she's like, okay, USC, and I'm like, Sam Darnold, and she's like, UCLA, and I'm like, Josh Rosen. So I did that. How far do you think I got down? And it's not, how far do you think I got down before I missed one?
50.
Now, I thought I could get to 50, and I didn't even come close. I brain farted on 28.
Wow.
Well, I can remember which one it is.
Which one?
Don't Google Kansas State. And as soon as she said, I'm like, I knew that guy. Kansas State is actually this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him, but I don't.
They call him. He's like Tebow, like Jesse Ertz.
Ertz, of course.
Yeah.
Is he related? He's got to be related to Zach Ertz.
So she got bored, of course, and handed me the magazine back after I missed on 28. And then I looked. I would have got like the next 10 before I would have missed again. But yeah, I wasn't sure. I was kind of embarrassed that I only got to 28. But on the other hand, I think out of 50, I would have, probably only missed about 3.
I find it weird that you're embarrassed that you only got to 28.
Well, I spent so much damn time on this
really,
stuff.
the embarrassing thing should have been
that I was making. I was making the wife do this
to begin with.
Well, I'm just sitting there on the beach drinking beer, and I got to do something.
See, like
So I
even
read them.
now, you should be embarrassed that you weren't embarrassed about the right thing. Like even now, you have a chance to make up for this. It's like you've got a coach called a timeout while you were missing a field goal, and you have a chance to make up for it, and you're still not embarrassed about the right thing. You still shank it. You still shank it to the right.
True. True. Well, at least I was at the beach and out of work, so that's something.
SEC in general, yeah, I'm a little shocked. Okay, let me just run down some things kind of quickly. First of all, it's Alabama, and I think Georgia is getting closer to us.
Yep.
Talking to Georgia looks closer to us than I thought they did, and then I think it's Auburn. I think there is a gap between Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn, and then I think there is a gap between Auburn and Texas A&M, and then I don't even know where the next team is. I mean, is it
right?
I could put Kentucky there. I could, because I can forgive them for, you talk about brain gas, twice against Florida they leave somebody wide open, and that's the only way Florida scores. I can forgive them, even though I know they hate that happened. I can forgive them. But I'm beginning to not be able to forgive them for letting Missouri hang around and Eastern Kentucky hang around and all these other dumb teams.
They're not that good. They're not win the East good to me. They're not.
Will they go to the Georgia game with a chance to win the East, winner take all?
Well, I mean, maybe mathematically that might be the case, but they're not nearly as good as Georgia. I mean, assuming Georgia plays as well as they can, I think they beat Kentucky by 4 scores.
I'm with you, but I'm saying Kentucky could win all. I looked at their schedule. They got Tennessee at home. I think they travel to Mississippi State next week. That's not a give to me, but they got Ole Miss at home.
I think they could lose to Mississippi State. To me, that's a gimme game. That's a gimme. I mean, I could go either way.
First of all, you're using the term "gimme" wrong. Yeah,
I know. I was about to say what as soon as I said that's a gimme, I'm like, it's a gimme for who?
You're saying that's a give me either one of them, and that's not how that phrase works. That's not how that idiom is.
It's a pick'em. That's what they call it.
Okay, pick'em.
No wonder I couldn't get past 28 on that list.
You wanted them to give me a pick'em.
I only know about 8 words.
Okay, so all right, so Kentucky, maybe. I mean, I guess I could put LSU in that spot. I'm not putting Florida there anymore. Now that the wheels have come off Florida. You know, when you get a grocery cart and your grocery cart has that one shitty wheel on the left side, and you're like, I just hope I'm not the guy where the wheel comes off and I'm like scraping the tile and it hurts my ears and shit.
Crashing it into the pyramid of spam
of cream corn, but so finally the wheel came off for Florida. I mean, it should have come off against Kentucky. It probably should have come off against. It could have come off against Vandy. It could have come off. Well, I guess that's it. But now the wheel is off. There's no way that they can begin to approach the rest of these games with the same attitude of, hey, somehow, some way, we're going to win it. Because even Jim McElwain was going into press conferences like shrugging his shoulders saying, I don't know how we did it. Don't ask me how this works. You know, Homer Simpson once said when Frank Grimes asked him, how do you have all this money to do all this stuff? And Homer said, don't ask me how the economy works. I think that's how Jim McElwain approaches coaching football sometimes. Like, I just win a shitload of games. I don't know how. Somebody turns it over and fix it.
But isn't this a fair question? So many, I mean, I know Florida fans who just, they're so ready to fire people and literally set the campus on fire. But is it an excuse they're not good on offense, or a reason they're not good on offense because they don't have Antonio Callaway and Jordan Scarlett?
Totally. I don't give a – they can have Amari Cooper, Julio Jones, Jerry Rice. They have nobody to get the ball to them, and their best player, Jimmy, is a guy you and I love from the state of Alabama, in Kadarius Toney, and I still wish Alabama had offered him.
You know, more than I think about not offering Kadarius Toney for Alabama, I think of the school you want to strangle for not offering Kadarius Toney is Auburn.
Oh, there's no question.
I mean, he'd be their Wildcat. Heck, he could be their full-time quarterback. Because one thing I was saying when I was watching Florida LSU, I'm like, they need to let Toney throw the ball more often, because I swear to God, I'm not so sure that Toney doesn't throw it as good as Franks does. You know, I mean, Kadarius Toney, he threw for 3,000 yards against a tough schedule, you know, in high school. But anyway, what I'm saying is apples to oranges a little bit. And LSU's not even good on offense. But imagine LSU's offense with no Darius Geis and no DJ Chark. I mean, that's what's happened to Florida. I mean, they couldn't afford to lose their best back and best wide receiver And they did, and it took an already shitty situation down to something, whatever is next below under a shitty situation. That's what they got.
But I trust Matt Canada at LSU because of his history more than I trust Florida to operate their system. And not only that, we don't have to imagine LSU without Darius Geis. We've seen it. He's not been Darius Geis. He may be 90%, whatever these up in the air bullshit percentages are that people talk about. But he may be 90% this weekend. He wasn't 100% last weekend. That was clear as day. They mentioned that on the broadcast. He's not himself. He didn't. Did he even play against Troy? I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did. He might not have. Well, I mean, if he did, it didn't matter.
Yeah. So
he's been ineffective. How about this? Hey, real quick. I just thought of this. I'm not predicting this happens, but just kind of an interesting chain of events. Florida finishes 7-5, and they fire Coach Mack, which isn't shocking. That New England offensive coordinator, the young guy, Josh, the guy McDonald. The young guy, Josh
McDonald. He was coach at Denver. McDaniels or something.
Yeah, Josh McDaniel. That's it. He gets a head coaching job somewhere in the NFL next season. Belichick brings Dable back to the Patriots to be their OC. Is Jim McElwain our offensive coordinator next season?
I'd take it.
Isn't it ironic that Florida would be firing him for failure to put an offense on the field, and the best program in the history of college football eagerly takes him back to be the offensive coordinator? That just shows how screwed up college football is, and it proves my point, which is what I've always said, where it drives people crazy. It's all about the players. It's all about the talent. It's all about the kids you have on the field. And the fact of the matter is, Coach Mack doesn't have good enough players at Florida, so his offense sucks. And if he comes to Alabama as the offensive coordinator, thanks to Nick Saban, his talent's going to be pretty damn good to win the games every week.
Well, and it's just that simple. Here's the only thing about getting McElwain back. Now that he's had some of that sweet shark noo-noo, how's he going to feel about coming back here for just striped bass in Alabama?
And he's also going from being the boss and making like $4 million a year to Coach Saban calling him a son of a bitch every 6 seconds.
That's true. He's like he gets treated much nicer. And I know
he might not want to go back to that.
I don't know how many people are watching this and get offended by that for PETA. I know it wasn't Jim McElwain on top of that shark.
And it wasn't making sweet love to the shark.
It was not making sweet love to the shark.
Yeah. We don't need to get even more letters from PETA than we got the last time.
We didn't talk about that enough when it happened because, like, what part of that guy thought that would be funny? Like, if I have a picture of me butt naked on a shark I just illegally caught.
And was the shark dead? I mean, I fish a lot, even offshore. I have caught a handful. I've never caught a huge shark, although I fought a huge shark for 30 minutes one time. But I have gotten sharks to the boat that are 60 pounds, 70 pounds, big black tips, maybe some small bull sharks. And when I get them up to the boat, I don't want to take the hook out.
I know.
I ain't reaching in there to taking the hook out with my hand. This dude's laying on a shark.
Naked. What did he fish with? Roofies? He's chumming the water with roofies. I mean, come on.
The only thing that was missing, that scene should have been in with Jonah Hill and the Wolf of Wall Street.
That was the creepiest thing. And I felt bad for the guy because he never meant for that picture to get out. But it's like now you can't ever go anywhere and do anything. If you pick your nose at a red light, that shit's going on Facebook, man. So if you get naked on top of a shark and you look like Jim McElwain, butt naked.
Oh, yeah. How many times has this happened to this guy? This guy's walking around the mall and somebody sees him and says, has anyone ever told you like Jim McElwain, the coach of Florida? And then when they're saying it out loud, they realize, oh my God, this is the guy that was naked on the shark.
It's like I've seen you somewhere. Nah. And he can't smile because he's got that Jim McElwain big smile that'll give it away. Wouldn't it be funny, like if Shark Tank ever needed to bolster their rankings, they just have this guy come in and pitch anything.
I got to know Coach Mack when he was at Alabama. I played golf with Coach Mack about 3 times and got to know Coach Mack pretty well. I met his wife and his kids and some of my wife. hang out with his wife some, and we got to know them right when that picture came out. I was showing the wife like, oh my gosh, can you believe this came out? And they're saying this is Coach Mack, and she of course she knows him. She's like, that's not him. And I'm like,
I'd know that ass anywhere.
I don't think it's him. Yeah. And she's like, this guy's bigger than Coach Mack. And I'm like, how do you know?
No, all right, really quickly, because you got to go and I got to go. But I will tell a funny story. Like my dad and I are both horrible. We have horrible name memory. Okay, but so Dad he was so proud. He saw somebody walking ahead of him with. He saw a woman walking with her husband, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I got to go say hi to her. I hadn't seen her in years." So he goes up to her, puts his hand around her shoulder, and says, "I'd recognize that ass anywhere." And it wasn't who he thought it was. And so, can you imagine like the husband going, "Hey, what the hell, man?" I mean, it's just that's always gotten me. Like whenever something like that comes up, I always go, "Recognize that ass anywhere." So, all right, everybody. We
35-7. You say 52-3.
52. I'm going 52-0 old school. 52-0. 52-0. Shut out.
35-7.
Ass whooping.
35-7, and I'm happy with it most likely.
52-0, and somehow Brett Bielema is still pissed off at the end of the game about something the officials did.
He's about to be 10-26 in the
Lord.
SEC. He's got a big old buyout too, $15 million, I think.
God, that is crazy.
That's the best job. The best
Should have been
job.
a coach.
The best job in the world is being an ex-football coach.
Fired SEC coach.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
All right, buddy.
Okay. Clicking out. See you.
See you.